this meetup is very important to us because even more important than we are here talking about some technology or some other thing, also to meet people, to exchange informations, and to have this kind of contact is very important. And first of all, thank you very much for this initiative because that's very important. Is it okay? No. Okay, sorry. So that's the question that I have to you guys. Do you really need Monorepo? And the question, first of all, I'm Thiago Alves. I'm from Fortaleza, but I'm living here in Portugal since 2019, so there's a long, not so long, but time that I'm here. And I'm engineer manager here on ISS. And this is some language that I have a chance to work with. So, yeah. And disclaimer around it, before we start, is that we need to split that. We will talk about monolith and monorepo, and they are not the same thing, okay? That's important disclaimer to talk in this initial moment, just because it will make sense in a few moments, you will see that. First of all, just talk a little bit about the project that we will talk about, and the same way as I'm very good creating variable names, for the project names, it's the same. So our project will be my app, okay, and we will have some modules in our my app that will be main, admin, reports, billing, and some shared components like UI components and shared. And that will be the structure for this. And before we continue with this, I don't know if you know this guy, and he says, what is the... So, yeah, this is almost what you said before. Make it work, make it right, make it fast. And this guy is Kent Beck, one of the authors of the Agile Manifest. And I'd like to talk about it because what we'll talk here will be trying to use this part here to try to make kind of explain my thinking around it, and to know if it makes sense using monolith, monorepo, polyrepo, or so on. And as I said, the question is that, and let's see what will happen in the end. First of all, let's make it work, because let's imagine that in our project we will start it, and the main intention every time will be make it work. Okay, it doesn't matter if we use Svelte or React or Vue or some other framework, but the main intention is to make it work. And in this initial moment, let's imagine that we just want to make it work, and we'll create everything in the same repo. So we have our src folder, and inside of this we have our modules. Everything in the same repository. We have some advantage on that because it's simple to develop things, and because everything's the same code base, right, in the same repository. So it's okay to share dependencies, and also we'll have every time just one CI and CD. So it's okay because every time that I need to run something in my project, I will need to use only one CI, and that's okay, and I will have my software in production. And also to test things, it's okay because, again, I have everything in the same code base, and it's okay to test it, everything together. But we also have some issues with this because the same way as we will have more fast way to test it and to put in production in our CI and CD, we will have some dependencies, because imagine that for some reason you want to update some dependency in your project. It means that you will need to do it for all your modules. You are not able to do this only for some specific modules because you have everything in the same repo. Of course, you can do this, but it will be very extra effort. And because of this, sometimes you won't be able to move on with some new technology that you want. If, for example, you want to use Solid.js, every time that you use it, you need to apply for all your projects, and it's complicated. If you want to change something just to one module, actually you will do it for all of them. And sometimes this can be kind of tricky because it can complicate your life on that. But anyway, it's working. It's software production, that's most important, okay? But let's try to improve it, and let's make it right. Because one thing that we could try to do it to improve our organization here is, instead of having only one repository, we could try to split it in different repositories. Okay, so on that way, we'll be better because we will be able to isolate our code we'll be able to isolate our code, so everything will be independent because we'll be able to update something just to the main module, and it shouldn't affect anything in repo or in the reports or even in the UI components and so on. So it's one thing that we should take in consideration when it comes to try to test something in some of these modules, or when we want to have something more separated, because on this time, if we before we have only one pipeline to run it something and put my code in production, now I need some different pipelines to do this, and exactly the advantage that we have on that, because at the same time that we have some advantage, we have some other things that will be not so good, because I will need to have an extra effort to create a pipeline for each one, and it will create some complexity, because imagine that now I will need to update something in my my app shared. It means that I will need to create one PR for each model that I have, because in this example, let's imagine that the web shared is my app shared is using by all of them, and when I need to update it, I will need to create a PR for each one. So can you imagine every time that I need to create something, some breaking change or some other thing on my shared components, I also will need to create a PR for each one, and it sometimes can be a bottleneck. And that's the point. What should I do? A monolith or a polyrepo? What about try to monorepo? Because in this case, according to the Monorepo tools, site that I strongly recommend you to read it, because there are a lot of things saying things about the monorepo. The definition that they have is: monorepo is a single repository contains multiple and distinct projects with a well-defined relationship. Okay, and who currently is using this? Here we have some examples about repositories that are using using monorepo in these structures. But before we start to talk about monorepo, we also need to talk about the structure that they usually use to split things, because we have two different fold organizations here. We can talk about the app-centric or package-centric. Because in the right side about app-centric, it's the most commonly used in companies and products, because we can split only things that I have from my components that I will release, in our case, the admin component or the main or reports, and separate things that will be shared between them, and in this case, shared and UI components. And centric, package-centric is most commonly used by open source projects and things that you need to deliver all your packages at the same time. So, for example, React or Svelte and some other projects that use things like this, they usually use the package-centric organization. And here, in our case, of course, we will talk about the app-centric. And in the last step, let's make it fast. And in this case, we will be able to have a simple dependency management, and the code sharing will be better because everything will be in the same repository. We have different modules, but in different in the same repository we will have different modules, and it makes easier because to onboard some new joiner or to create some new updating for some package or something like this, it's okay because I can do something for one module without any kind of side effect for each other, because I will be able to do one thing for one of them, and it shouldn't impact. For example, in my case here, I can update the version for the my admin without any kind of side effect for the main, my app main. But it's not so true that it will be fast, because I just put it because I'd like to use these three terms, and that's why I just put it just to complete the phrase. And I'd like to see it get back again. But like an advantage, we also have something, because the same way as a monolith, we have only one pipeline to build everything. And for the polyrepos, we have different pipelines for each module. In this case, we will have only one repository, and we will have some difficulty to create things when it comes to pipeline, because you will need to use only one repository and one pipeline, and you need to know the change that you are doing. And after this, you will take the decision to know which module should I handle something. Because imagine that you make some change in the admin module, and during your pipeline, you will need to have some control about the change and to know if the module that you are changing is the same as you need to apply your things in your pipeline. Because in this, as I said, in this example, imagine that we will need to make some change in our main app. We need to have something in our pipeline to know how module I changed and prevent that I will make some thing in my pipeline using things only for this specific module. And to do this kind of thing, it's kind of easy, but just to explain a little bit about how it works in a node even environment. If I want to create some monorepo structure, it's kind of easier because I just need to know the structure of folder that I want to use, and after this create my workspace. But there is an issue. Currently, NPM doesn't support the workspace protocol. So if I try to run some npm install using just it will break because currently the npm doesn't support it. And for to do this, we will need to use some extra thing. I don't know if you guys is familiar with. And also there is another thing, because the same way as we will have all our modules in the same folder, when I run some npm install, it will install all my dependencies, and I will have a node modules in each component, and my project will be giant. And this image, I think you are more familiar than I, because this is what will happen. Instead of having only one node modules folder, I will have more than this, and it will get all my data. But we can solve this problem because there is this kind of package that support us to handle this kind of thing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, with PNPM. That's kind of the same as NPM, but it's faster and also has a good disk management. So instead of using node modules for each project, it will create a symbolic link for each one. So I just will use one installation for all of my package. I think let me try just to show you. I don't know if it's too small. If you are able to see this, yeah.
Okay.
I think now is better. Mm-hmm. So, because imagine that we have here our structure and we will need to install our project. And if I just use pnpm install, I sit here for a moment. I will have my pnpm lock, okay? And inside of this file, we will have something interesting, because now instead of having different folders and different things, I will have only like symbol links. So I will have my project, and here it will specify the path to my module. And if I try to see here what I have my app building, for example, I will have my node modules, but this is one interesting thing. Instead of having as linked and all other plugins, I will have just a link to the node modules that I have in my root folder. So instead of having a copy of this in all of my modules, I will have it only once, and in all of them I will have a copy to the main installation that I should have. So it's okay. It's a good way to manage things, but at the same time, when it comes to CI and CD again, it will take a time. It will be different because I will need to have some caching support to make it faster, because it doesn't make sense I just be able to install things faster, but every time I will need to have the same effort. But we have some tools to support with this, to support things in Monorepo, for example, NX, or Rush, or even Monorepo, because they create the possibility to create cache. So every time that I'm installing something, it will create some cache, as I have in this example that I have here using NX. It will create some cache, so the next time that I will execute again my some npm install, instead of trying to download everything again, it will use the cache and it will reduce the time to install things. In general, that's it. The question, yeah, and one funny thing is because I'm also talking about that because here in ISS currently we are using polyrepo and we are in this fight to try to migrate to monorepo, and it's one thing that I'm speaking here, but at the same time we don't have it still. So, but we are in process. We are working on that, and exactly that's why I'd like to share this kind of thing because. I think that most important than we know about the technology that we will use, if it will be React or Svelte or some other thing, also about the way as you will structure your project, the organization that you have, it's very important because, of course, to know the version that I need to use in my React project is okay. If I need to use Solid or Sinos or some other thing, it's okay. But if I don't know how to organize my project, the way as I will deliver it, the best way as I will provide production, sometimes it's just nothing. And